all of their myths and stuff, and none of them used the name Jesus, but they all described him as a white man with long brown hair and a beard.
Why is it that Jesus is white? That's what I want to understand.
How did a white guy get born to a bunch of Sephardic Jews, is what I want to know.
No.
Well, God's white, so I mean, that's how.
Of course he is.
Was the Immaculate Conception. He could make that baby whatever color he wanted to.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Buying a burger might start taking a bite out of your wallet. Meat prices skyrocketed this week after the place that makes the meat revealed that the cow smashing machine is all beefed up.
This machine has beef way up in it. The basher, the meat collector, even the main meat hole, all of it. Lousy with beef.
The cow smashing machine is an integral part of the meat making process, taking whole big cows into one end, with all different meats falling out the other. Supermarket chains warn that unless we start smashing cows again soon, we could face a serious beef shortage. The beef industry is working hard to unclog the cow smasher, but says it could take several days or even weeks to scoop all the beef that's crammed up in there. Until it's fixed, meat-hungry Americans can take solace in the fact that the chicken grinder is working at full capacity, just completely tearing up all those chickens, and the pig machine is porking out hardcore. Up next, bluesmen find a rising trend of their babies done leaving on that their old devil train.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
(603-283-6160). It has been well over a week since I've been able to repeat those digits over the air and the internet to anybody who's listening.
It's back. The phones are back.
603-283-6160 is the phone number for Free Talk Live. It's also the show you're listening to. And you can dial in and talk about whatever is on your mind. I'm sure that there are many of our regular listeners who have listened to the show and know what has been going on, particularly the recent events where the terrorists have attacked the Free Talk Live studio, as well as the Bitcoin Embassy and a few other select locations, including hijacking many Bitcoin ATMs and accusing some hosts and friends of the show of things that are related to cryptocurrency. The attack was rather complete, and much damage was done. They attempted to disable the studio, and of course, we only missed one actual live broadcast.
Sabotage, that's the word.
Definitely sabotage.
They sabotaged us.
So we are back. As of right now, this might be the first show that is, I'm going to call it 100%. And that's just, something might still go wrong, or there might be a few little things going on. I know there's some archives that aren't updated yet. We'll backfill those with the episodes that are missing. So we'll get around to that. But as far as doing the live show is concerned, we appear to be at 100%. So feel free to call in. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
So, of course, we have no further updates on Ian Freeman or Rich Paul, who is known as Nobody around here. He did legally change his name to Nobody, so you're not confused when I talk about Nobody. I'm actually talking about a person most of the time.
But there is some good news. We have at least been able to reach out to Rich or Nobody, formerly known as Rich Paul.
I saw that you attempted to do an online.
I have not been. I was not successful.
Right? Was somebody successful?
Somebody was successful, and from what I understand, and he is at least. We've at least been able to talk to him. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I can't really say anything more than that. But,
okay, that's good. No,
yeah.
That's good news. I know that there's been some movements. I know that folks who listen and chat and who are on the social media have been asking, hey, can we make sure he's got commissary? Can we make sure he's got books? Those things are in the works. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So I can say a little bit about that. So he is fully funded as far as his commissary account, I guess, goes.
Yep.
I don't know if he's able to access it or not. I think he is, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. But he is fully he can't take any more money, basically, at least not this week.
The account is full.
The account is full because of the overwhelming support that we've had in the community and outside the community to cover to make him as comfortable as possible. Basically, there are books that have been sent. There's been 4 or 5 books. And that's something that in prison you have a lot of spare time on your hands. Yep. So keeping him stocked with books is definitely that he would like to read is definitely a good thing. So.
I have one update on Nobody, actually. Today, Ian got to call me, and the way the phones work, like, you only talk for, 30 minutes or something, then it's like, this call is ending. It ended, and then Ian got to call me right back, and during that, break, he said, I just saw Nobody, and Nobody was in the medical area talking to a nurse, and he said he was, smiling and laughing at her, so Nobody's still flirting in jail.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. Nobody is ready for this. He's spent a year in jail already. He's got some time under his belt, so he knows how the system works, and he likely, and I don't know if we have confirmation of this, but it appears that he may have actually refused bail, and he's done this before, so it's certainly something that's believable. And one of the reason he did it last time was because he wouldn't accept the conditions effectively of bail, and the conditions of bail can be very restrictive.
Oh yeah.
So he's basically serving his time, presuming that, and this is a little bit speculative on my part here, but he probably, if he sits in a jail cell, it will count towards any time that he ends up having to serve. So he'll probably get out sooner in the end by sitting in a jail cell. So it may make sense for him to actually do that. That's assuming at least that there is a sentence in the end. Obviously, if he doesn't have a sentence, then he's sat in jail for no reason. But
sure, yeah,
maybe to some degree anyway. Or I shouldn't say no reason, but at least in some respects that it's kind of a protest of the whole bail system. So even if he doesn't end up with a sentence, it at least is saying, kind of giving them the finger, saying, I won't consent to these absurd conditions when I'm supposedly an innocent man until proven guilty, and you haven't proven me guilty.
I believe his perspective would be something along the lines, and I don't claim to speak for the man, but it would be something along the lines of, if I'm going to be a prisoner, I'm going to be a prisoner. I'm not going to be a prisoner in my own home.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a perfect way to phrase it.
So we have lots of things to discuss. Was there anything else? Any other updates on the Crypto 6?
I don't really have any more updates on Ian. We just talked, and it wasn't anything new. It was just me and him talking.
There's still no decision on his bail, so the judge said that she would make her decision expeditiously.
Yeah, okay.
Which apparently in government means
10 days already.
At least 10 days.
Well, right now it's been 7 days since she said that, but we know that they don't work on the weekends.
Right. So it's basically 10 days already at this point. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. It's like, what excuse can they possibly come up with? It seems like they're trying to come up with an excuse as to why they're not releasing him, even though he meets all the conditions as a perfect candidate for being released.
Yeah, I don't see anything that makes me believe that he should not be released on bail.
Right. I mean, he's got no violent charges. He's not going to flee. He had the opportunity to do so if he wanted to prior to the arrest, because everybody knew it was coming.
Yeah, everybody knew that there was an investigation.
Right.
Beforehand, there was ample time for him to
GTFO. He had at least 8 months or more to flee if he had
far more than that. Yeah. So there's definitely that. The fact that he has the Shire Free Church and this particular radio program that he's been doing for, 2 decades or more now.
2006, I
mean, these are things that are key to him as a person. For him to stop doing this, totally ridiculous.
Yeah, 18 years he's been doing this show. He's not just going to flee when he wants to fight. He wants to fight this, right? He's got lawyers. He's not like he's got a public defender. He's going to flee because he has no money or anything. He's literally already paid lawyers, to fight this case.
Yep.
And he's innocent.
Indeed.
Right, and he's innocent, right?
Yeah. The charges against him, I think, and feel free to look this stuff up online. The indictment's all online. You can look for yourself if you use your favorite search engine to find that stuff. So I don't want to put any misleading facts out there, you all are online, I presume most people are these days, and so go look it up and read it for yourself.
So here's the thing I have to say about that. You can go and look up stories. The problem is those stories leave out very important critical facts in many cases.
I'm not saying look up stories. I'm saying go look up the indictment.
Okay,
read the indictment.
Well, the indictment's full of lies too, but
it is, but that's at least going to give you an idea of what the government is accusing him of.
Right, that's true.
And if you read through that and you've been listening to the show for any period of time, you can poke holes in that thing all day and night. So
yeah.
That's all I'm really getting at. We have some stories. Are you guys familiar with universal basic income as a concept?
Oh, yeah.
Andrew Yang.
Okay, now this gets thrown around a lot, particularly from the left. There are some folks who think that something resembling UBI can be done voluntarily through cryptocurrency and that type of a thing.
I support UBI with one condition.
Mm-hmm.
The people who support it, or the people who
fund it
have to be the socialists.
I don't really have anything against somebody putting together some sort of helpful thing that makes sure that if somebody's in need, they get some help.
Right.
As my thing is, it's got to be voluntary. There can be no government involvement. It has to be funded 100% voluntarily.
Right.
And if somebody is funding, they need to be able to opt out if they want to at any time.
Yep.
No forcing of people, no coercion involved at all, which means the government cannot sponsor it. We'll talk a little bit more about this and a whole lot more. This is Free Talk Live.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone? You forgot to download our archive? And you have no data connection. You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. Welcome back to the program, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. The telephone number is alive. Once again, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. If you'd like to call in and talk about whatever's on your mind, you could talk about the recent terrorist attack here on the studio by men calling themselves government. And some women too, several agencies. You can talk about anything that's in the news or bring up whatever you want. It's called Free Talk Live for that reason. We have very few rules. Some of the rules are that if you call, you might have to wait on hold for a while because we screen our own calls and we really only do that during the commercial break. So if you do call, please wait on hold. We will get to you and we will screen you and then we'll get you on the air. The other rules are you can't say any of the 7 words made famous by George Carlin in his 7 words skit. If you will, you can feel free to look that up online. But basically it means no cussing. So if you do, we are a radio show. In addition to streaming on stuff like DLive, Twitch, you know, we've got a stream going out to YouTube. There's one going out to Facebook. There's a couple other places we stream to. We've got audio streams going out to LRN.FM on freetalklive.com and some other places. But we are also a radio show broadcasting over the air. And so the FCC still says that we can't say the naughty words. So keep that in mind if you call.
Yeah, that's not our choice. There were and sometimes are shows after the radio show that are aired not on the radio, but
Freer Talk Live.
Yeah, Freer Talk Live.
Yep.
And there, you can curse and do whatever.
Yeah, the after show parties are lots of fun.
Yeah, they're entertaining.
So I wanted to tell you also, we talk a lot about cryptocurrency here on Free Talk Live. Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. You can go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you will find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized by your needs. There's no longer an excuse for ignorance of this very important and world-changing information. If you are a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com, where you can get the latest headlines of all the news relevant to you. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a very slick and easy-to-use website. Visit bitcoin.com. All right, so before, in the last segment, we were talking about UBI, also known as Universal Basic Income. Some people call it welfare. Some people call it different things. I'm okay with the concept if somebody can figure out a way to make sure that it's done voluntarily. In other words, nobody is forced to contribute to funding other people's universal basic income, right?
In fact, it's never been done without coercion, so it could be the best idea in the world. For all I know, it could be the best system out there. But if you add coercion and violence to back it up, It's just never going to make a good system for anybody's life.
Right, and there won't be the incentives turn themselves upside down when there's coercion and violence, particularly by the organization commonly known as government, involved in putting together these programs. So if they're not involved in the program, then generally the incentive structure to keep it funded stays within the realm of ethics and morality. But when, as soon as government gets involved, it turns into a dumpster fire. So let's find out. This is from Fox 2, KTVU.com. Oakland launches one of the nation's largest guaranteed income pilots. 600 families get $500 per month. Now, I don't know about you, $500 a month, I can't live on that.
Yeah, definitely couldn't live on that.
That's
like not even enough to cover like a rent.
But I think in this instance, when it's a universal basic income, it's just like you have this to work off of. And then that way your rent is $500. Well, now all your money gets to go to your car payment and your family instead of.
The problem is that if you implement UBI, effectively you increase the taxation, which means that the prices of everything go up. So even if you're not taxing, the people at the bottom, it doesn't really matter because their rents go up and thus it becomes worthless. I mean, the money becomes worthless. So
yeah, I understand that. I totally understand why it's a bad idea, especially under the system. I'm just saying, like, it's not just in this. I don't think they're trying to sell it as this is what you can live off of for your whole life. I just think it's supposed to be, it's sold to the people as just a little help every month.
The problem with this is that there's a certain amount of cost. Like when the government takes, if they take $500, a third of that goes to maintaining the program, if not more, that they've taken. So it doesn't make sense. What would make sense is for them to stop taxing, reduce the taxes.
Right.
To do it any other way is literally just going to drain our economy and drain the money from the poorest the most.
Well, and this appears to be government sponsored. Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf and other leaders on Tuesday announced the framework for one of the nation's largest guaranteed income pilots that will distribute monthly payments to hundreds of Oakland families. Calling it an historic moment, Schaaf said that 600 families will be able to receive $500 a month for 18 months with no strings attached. The roughly $6.7 million will all be coming from the philanthropic organization Blue Meridian Partners.
So it's not even really UBI. It's coming from a private source.
It's a pilot program.
And it's not everybody.
Right.
What is a pilot program?
Well, they're testing. They want to see if they can make this thing go. And if it goes well, then they will probably make it a larger program. I don't know what any of the criteria are just yet, but hopefully this article will tell us more. The roughly $6.7 million will be coming from the philanthropic organization Blue Meridian Partners. No taxpayer money will be used. And they have a link to where folks can learn more. I'll take a look at that in just a minute.
That's interesting.
Families can apply later this spring, and they will be randomly selected from the applicant pool as long as the families meet the basic income requirements. Oakland Resilient Families, is not a first-come, first-served program and is open to undocumented residents and unsheltered families. So apparently that's one of the criteria. You can be an undocumented resident or an unsheltered family.
I mean, so the idea behind UBI is it applies to everybody no matter how much you make. So does that mean, are they limiting it to only people
universal.
who are...
Yeah, they've certainly taken the universal part out of this. So this is just, they call it a guaranteed income pilot program is what they're calling it.
For poor people. So it's basically just charity. It's not even really UBI. It's not testing anything really.
The program is a partnership with the Family Independence Initiative and the National Mayors for a Guaranteed Income. Schaaf said she hopes checks would be in the families' hands by spring and summer. Families can participate in surveys and interviews, but they don't have to. Despite the good news, Schaaf said she knew that the money was hardly enough to make a real dent in poverty. The money is intended to narrow Oakland's racial income gap, where the median African income is less than $50,000 a year and the median white income is more than $100,000. We'll talk more about this pilot program in Oakland and a whole bunch more. This is Free Talk Live.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Karl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio station where you can call in, take control of the airwaves, talk about whatever is on your mind. Our telephone number here in the studio, if you would like to join the conversation, is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. We'll get to your calls and thoughts in just a moment. In the studio tonight, I am your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
And we are here talking about, we started talking about UBI, and then we're talking about this pilot program in Oakland that seems to not meet the criteria of being universal or even basic income. It is, basic income. And we can talk more about this. It seems more like they're trying to make a dent in poverty, but at least from what we've read so far, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. But we'll find out more about that. But I want to do something that I haven't been able to do in something like 12, maybe 14 days, and that's put a call on the air. Let's go to TJ the Spy. TJ, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, TJ.
How's it going, Captain?
Oh, it's so good to
Bonnie,
take a call.
Chris, everybody. Everybody's okay, I trust?
It's good to hear you. Haven't heard from you in a while.
Yeah, I've just been relaxing here in Denver and just watching the fireworks from afar, and I said, thank God we left Keene.
Yeah, you were here at the time of the last raid. That's right, weren't you?
Yes. In fact, if you go to my channel, TJ the Spy, on YouTube, I actually made a nice video compilation of the first raid where I confronted the FBI agents naked. And I said, Bonnie, you missed a wonderful opportunity to repeat this, and make this a tradition with every FBI raid that all the defendants could come out naked.
Right.
And
this is the second. There was 2 incidences, if I recall correctly. I don't know if Bonnie wants to talk about
this time
this or not, but
last time TJ was the naked person, and this time I was the naked person. I was fully naked.
So TJ, are you suggesting that as a form of activism, that if you happen to get raided by terrorists calling themselves the FBI or any of these police type forces at the federal level, that you strip down?
The people ask me, I am actually saying that as a practical safety measure, because if you get raided, a lot of people are like, if the FBI ever comes to my house, there's going to be one dead FBI agent. I'm like, okay, let's think about that.
Yeah.
There's like 20 of them, and there's one of you.
56
they
this
have a
time around.
Bearcat and an MRAP and probably rocket launchers and fully automatic weapons. And I said, given that you can't fight back, it's actually very practical that if you're naked, they're not going to shoot you. I mean, a bad guy will shoot you no matter what. But the police, when they see a naked person, they just are instinctively like, what the heck is that? They're not going to shoot because it's unarmed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for repulsing them in any way, shape, or form. So whatever it takes, man.
Well, I will say that I was completely naked, and I had dropped the robe that I intended on putting on. And when I tried to pick it up the first time, the FBI yelled at me, "Whoever's moving up there, if you don't stop moving, I'm going to shoot you." So that didn't really work for me.
Unlike maybe last time, this wasn't a voluntary situation that you were in, Bonnie, correct?
Oh yeah, I was just sleeping naked.
Yeah, so this wasn't like an activist thing that you did. It was them basically doing bad stuff towards you.
I hope you had fun, Bonnie, because being married, or I should say having, like, I too have a romantic crush on Ian, and so I was like,
he's a gay man.
I would actually go through FBI raids for James and Ian, and that's about it. And right, and so it's one of those things you're going to have to get used to. That Ian, for the rest of your romance, every 5-10 years, you're going to have either the state police are going to come knocking for unsworn falsifications.
That's right.
Or
or
the feds are going to come knocking for some BS charge, or the
something
IRS
to do
is going
with
to come knocking.
Something to do with this activism.
There've been 2 FBI raids of this building, but there's also been other police raids of this building besides that. So you're definitely right about that one.
Raid.
I feel initiated.
You have definitely been initiated.
Yeah, I mean, kind of tossed you in the deep end right away.
Oh, yeah. You haven't even been here that long.
At least I got to be here a couple of years before they raided the studio, so I got to acclimate myself to some of the activists and activism that goes on.
Yeah.
and kind of hear some of the history. And I wouldn't necessarily say be prepared. I don't think anybody can be prepared for the assault that they put on this place and the embassy. But awareness. There's something to be said for it.
There's a reason they do these raids at 6 a.m. on the dot. It's so that they catch you off guard, right, while you're still asleep.
Yeah, if you're an activist, you might beef up your security. And on Tuesday mornings, apparently, we actually did another article from a place in Montana where they also raided at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday. So that seems to be a go-to time for these feds. I don't know why they would pick Tuesdays, but they seem to pick Tuesdays.
Last time it was a Sunday. It was March 20th, 2016 was a Sunday, but it was 6 a.m. You can count on 6 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah.
And, the reason is Special Agent Alan Bruce Carroll, he said, why we do that? It's because most people are in bed asleep, and so they're not thinking correctly, so they'll talk to you. And, and even people who have attorneys, they'll be like, oh, what are you doing here? I'm innocent. Okay, I'm sure we can clear this all up. Just sign your Miranda rights away and talk to us. So good for you, Bonnie, for not talking to them.
I told them nope.
Yep. We're your friends. It's just a misunderstanding, and you look like such a wonderful little girl. It's like, nope.
I don't think anybody talked, as far as I know, is to the government agents that came, and you have to wonder.
I can actually tell you that Renee.
Oh, did she?
I don't know about her, but Renee and Andrew were talking to the feds voluntarily.
Really? Renee should have known better. I don't know about Andrew so much, but I know Renee should have known better.
It is different when everybody they're asking you about is innocent and you have nothing bad to say, but
it's not. That's not the point. It's that they can use your words against you, and you do not want to give them ammunition, even if everything you say is.
There was a bunch of lawyers.
I've discovered that some people you just cannot teach. I've trained or tried to teach people like how to resist the mind manipulation that the police do to get you to talk.
Yeah.
But they're very the people think the police are mean. No, they're actually, once they get done bashing down the door, they'll be like, oh, we're so sorry.
They
this is just a misunderstanding. Help us clear us up.
Try to get you to talk. Yeah. TJ, I just wanted to mention that there was a bunch of lawyers that got together to see whether or not there was ever a case that, oh, you know what? You would have been found innocent if only you would have spoken to the police at the time of your arrest. They could not find one. There is no such thing as a case where it would have been beneficial.
Your words can only be used against you. They can never be used to defend you in a courtroom. So it's only ever going to go downhill by talking to police or FBI or law enforcement of any kind.
I don't know if this matters either, but they never said anything like that to me. I was never under arrest, even though I was in handcuffs for over an hour.
But you were detained.
Am I being arrested? Why am I being detained and all this stuff, And they never told me anything about my Miranda rights. Maybe it's because I wasn't technically arrested. I don't know, but it doesn't matter.
It's probably only if you're arrested. So it used to be they had to read them like when they arrested you, but now it's like only when I think they're actually like
when they're going to book you.
Yeah, questioning you. And if they're not questioning you, then they don't have to read them to you or something to that effect.
TJ, your thoughts?
Correct. Very good. That is very correct. The only time the Miranda does what it called attaches. So Miranda attaches as a prophylactic measure, meaning a preventative measure, when the officer places a suspect in a custodial situation. That means a reasonable person would feel they're not free to leave. So the handcuffs would be that. And they generally will say you're under arrest. And you want to use whatever statements the suspect makes against them in court.
TJ, I'd like to say, last time you saw me, you said I was too mentally stable to be here, but now I'm not mentally stable.
Thanks for the call, TJ.
Congratulations.
We appreciate it. Yes, you're going to have some PTSD. This is Free Talk Live. More coming up.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. It is Friday. And I am your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me in the studio, it's
Bonnie
and Chris.
The telephone number here is working again, I'm very glad to say. Mark was the host last night and was able to take some calls. And we are once again taking phone calls. The phone number you need, grab a crayon and write it down on the fridge door, grab a chisel, etch it into some stone, whatever you got to, grab a blowtorch and burn it into your front porch deck, whatever you got to do. The number 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160 is the number if you would like to join us here on the air. So we were talking before TJ the Spy called about this article out of Oakland talking about some sort of a pilot program. It says Oakland launches one of the nation's largest guaranteed income pilots. 600 families to get $500 a month. And to be eligible, families must be low income and identify as Black,
so not UBI,
Indigenous, or people of color. The first area targeted will be in East Oakland, and the next area will be broader Oakland, explained Jesus Garena, the CEO of the Family Independence Initiative. Now, I realize there's a lot of poor people in the world, and I contribute voluntarily to some organizations to help some poor people.
That's right.
And what I don't like about this sentence I just read was it seems rather exclusionary. To be eligible, families must be low income and identify as Black, Indigenous, or people of color. It seems like they're leaving quite a lot of people out of those qualifications. And I'm not sure why they would do such a thing.
Well, it isn't the government, so I personally don't really have an issue with it. I think it's more...
That's a good point.
It's the argument that they're making that you have an issue with, though, right?
Morally, I would say that if I was running a charity and I had $6 million or whatever it is, I would not exclude white poor people from getting help, but it's not my money.
I mean, it's not. It's. I don't see Asian on here. I don't see. There's several people.
Well, people can say that. People consider Asian people of color. So I think that covers everybody except white people because white people don't have color. Apparently, I mean, I'm pink, but
yeah, it's about it's this idea that people should be forced. That I think is the problem with the three of us here and the people on this show, the hosts on this show. It's the forced aspect of it. This is actually just what we would call charity. And it's a little bit discriminatory, but I don't even care so much about that. It's just the fact that what they're then advocating for through this supposed example, which isn't really UBI, is the use of force to take money from other people, including the poor, and basically redistribute it, but with less funds to go around.
I agree. We haven't had proof in this article yet that that's what they're going to do, but I agree with Chris that it seems like they're going to try to use this as a way to create an actual UBI, which they'll be taking money from the taxpayers to give to people. And in that case, there should be no exclusionary. It should be
it says the title of the article is UBI, right? That stands for Universal Basic Income, which means the government forcing people
guaranteed income pilot is what they're calling it. So they're not calling it universal basic income. Okay. They're calling it guaranteed income pilot. So it's a pilot program.
Fair enough.
It's a pilot program to give guaranteed income to some people.
Okay.
For what reason, though, which we haven't found out yet. What is the long-term goal here? Because it said it's only going to last for 8 months or something like that?
I don't think if it is simply a charitable objective of getting people off off their feet, and it doesn't involve force or government, right? Then it doesn't seem like such a bad idea. I think some of the tactics on the left make sense to me. I mean, if you actually start looking at like how inefficient government is in terms of all the different programs they have, each one of those programs costs a ton of money. If it was just, I'm going to give, a poor person, a set amount of money, and then they can, figure out how to use that money, there's going to be more money, and it's going to be more efficiently distributed. So I think that makes sense. It's the government, though, that creating all these separate programs that ends up causing problems.
Well, let's find out what this program might be about. Jarena says that to qualify for the checks, people must be earning at or below 50% of the median income, which is about $59,000 per year per family of three. I don't even make $59,000 at my day job, so now you know how much. Now you know how much I don't make, everybody. But
this is California, where you need you need like $200,000 to basically like rent a place,
right.
like a 1-bedroom. Yeah.
But
this I understand now.
But he said half the spots are reserved.
Get out of California
for very low income earning below 130% of the poverty level, which is about $30,000 a year. It's not clear what will happen when the program ends, and if and how this money would be extended through any other means. The idea isn't new, but having a revival across the U.S. after some mayors launched small temporary programs across the country in a coordinated campaign to convince Congress to adopt a national guaranteed income program.
Yep, we saw it miles away. But I am confused because now you're saying governments are doing it. So is the government of Oakland involved in this at all?
The very beginning of the article said Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf and other leaders on Tuesday announced the framework for one of the nation's largest guaranteed income pilots.
I really don't know what to think about it. Okay, I know that I don't believe that somebody should be forced to make a gay wedding cake any more than I think a charity should be forced to give to white people.
Right.
But if it's part of the government and they're using tax dollars at all, then I'm against it in the pure vein of the fact that it's using force.
Why, if this particular company, and let me see if I can find their name again, it's called the Blue Meridian Partners. If they wanted to, of their own volition, create some sort of a program that gave $500 to whomever they felt like giving $500 to as a private organization, I got no problem with that. The mayor, however, is involved, and it sounds like this is, they say it's a pilot program, so usually that means a trial to see how it goes, and that usually means for some other bigger purpose.
Right. So one of the things I think people have to understand is we're not, the people, the hosts on this show are not against charity. We're not against.
Not at all.
We're probably some of the most charitable people out there. But the thing is, the reason that you should be against government, stealing money from people is because of it's so inefficient. Most of the money they steal doesn't go to the people, doesn't go to the poor for one. But even the little bit that ends up going to the poor, they stole a lot more from you in order to give the poor a very small amount of money. The best way to do it is the free market by letting individuals donate to charitable organizations that are the most efficient. Because when you add competition to the marketplace, all of a sudden the efficiencies go up.
Yeah, you take out. If you rely on the government to be your charity, you're like, well, I pay my taxes, so I don't need to contribute. If you don't contribute to charity at all of your own volition and of your own choice, and you just feel like, well, I pay taxes, so that's good enough, then that is lazy. You have no choice. You've done zero research. You have no idea where your money is actually going. I would much prefer you not pay any taxes at all and not give to charity, so that those who can and want to give to charity can, as long as nobody's paying the taxes.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, if you start looking at like what we would all be making, I mean, you can basically double your salary if there was no taxes. Okay, and I'm talking about all the different forms of taxation that occur, much of which is hidden from you.
And if you're confused about how your tax dollars don't go to where you think they are, just think about any time you've overdrawn in your bank account and it automatically takes a $25 fee. That is an administration fee.
Yep.
I'm not saying that that's taxes, but all these administration fees that your tax dollars have to go to get to a charity, you're not giving to charity.
Yeah, so if this program were funded by government and $500 were going to these 600 families, the government would first have to take probably $1,000 per family from taxpayers, and the first 500 of that would go to pay all of the bureaucracy costs. You got to hire people to do the books, to keep the money, to blah blah blah. They would start some sort of a program called the the Office of the Administration of the Universal Basic Income or something like that.
Think of it like this: if you give a homeless guy on the street $100, he's gonna get $100.
Right.
If the government steals $100 from you, he might get $5 if you're lucky.
Right. Absolutely spot on. A guaranteed minimum income is defined as a plan set up by a government to provide every person the guarantee of an income at a certain level, according to this article from ktvu.com. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Controversy at the border. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. A group of Republican senators traveled to the border region in Texas to get a first-hand look at the surge in migrants.
Republican senators say they witnessed children packed in like sardines in a facility in Donna, Texas. Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson says they traveled by boat along the Rio Grande River.
We had to slow down because there was a dead body in the water. There's nothing humane about that treatment.
South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham was among those blaming the Biden administration for the surge, alleging that they were warned against rolling back some Trump administration policies at the border.
We're complicit as a nation in human trafficking.
Another senator said while with the Border Patrol at night, traffickers traveling with bright lights taunted the Border Patrol, saying, "You can't catch us." Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
A group of House Democrats were also in Texas at a facility in Carrizo. Texas Congressman Joaquin Castro says border agents are taking every precaution to keep migrant children safe from COVID-19.
They're taking all COVID-19 protocols. We were all made to wear N95 masks. We've all been vaccinated. So they're taking very, very careful care with the kids who are affected with COVID-19.
They're recommending kids be kept at facilities not run by the Border Patrol and to send caseworkers to verify children's identity more quickly. An attorney for Park Cannon, the Georgia state lawmaker, criminally charged after knocking on the door to Governor Brian Kemp's private office while he was on live TV talking about the state's election law, says authorities have overreached in the case. The state of Florida is threatening to sue the federal government if it doesn't lift its pandemic ban on cruise lines using U.S. ports. Governor Ron DeSantis and Attorney General Ashley Moody say the state is being harmed economically by the shutdown and that cruisers worldwide are operating safely with restrictions and protocols. America is listening to Fox News.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but here you go. You deserve to feel better than you do today. And you can with Headspace. They make meditation simple. Headspace is the one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research and can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. Go to headspace.com/Fox for a free 1-month trial. This is the best deal offered right now. Headspace.com/Fox.
The Navy sending help as salvage crews continue to try to free a container ship trapped in the Suez Canal.
The Suez Canal Authority says it's received an offer of help from the US and looks forward to cooperating. But in the meantime, a giant container ship remains stuck. The Ever Given has been wedged across the waterway since Tuesday. Tugboats and a dredging machine are trying to dislodge it, but salvagers say the operation could take weeks. Hundreds of other ships are waiting, unable to enter what's normally one of the world's busiest shipping channels for trade. In London, Simon Owen, Fox News.
The head of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, is asking wealthy countries to donate at least 10 million COVID vaccines so that United Nations Health Agency can meet its goal of vaccination in all countries within the first 100 days of this year. He says supply problems faced by COVAX, the UN effort, means about 20 countries are still awaiting their first doses of vaccine. Did you save receipts from your PPE purchases? The IRS says you may be able to deduct them from your taxes.
The Internal Revenue Service will allow you to deduct from your taxable income any money you've spent buying PPE like face masks and gloves. Also included in this new provision is a deduction for hand sanitizer or sanitizing wipes. The rule change will also allow for reimbursement of these costs via health plan flexible spending arrangements or health savings accounts. But if you get money from them, you can't.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review. A report by Stanford University researchers released Thursday found that Americans spend 90% of their waking hours staring at glowing rectangles. Researchers identified more than 30 varieties of iridescent rectangles, ranging from personal and work rectangles to rectangles that heat food and those that can fit right in one's pocket.
From the moment Americans wake up, they are captivated by these bright, pulsing rectangles. In fact, if you look at the data, it's hard to find a single minute when the public isn't captivated by these, I'm sorry, where were we?
In local news, a run-over squirrel is remembered as frantic and indecisive. And in other news, a trail of rose petals leads a wife to a sink full of dishes. Prince Fielder reports to spring training exactly the right amount overweight, and a local yard sale reeks of divorce. If you don't hear the sound of my voice the same time next week, alert my family and then visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk in monotone all the time? Wait, no, that's more like Gregorian chant, isn't it? Welcome to Free Talk Live.
I have to say, you guys are entertaining. I'm not nearly as entertaining as that.
Our telephone number here in the studio is 603-283-6160.
You will call.
You will call. You want to call. You will pick up your phone. You will enter 603-283-6160. Save it as a contact in your contacts list. Call it Free Talk Live or FTL Call-In, whatever you like. But whatever you do, if you feel like getting your thoughts on the air, give us a call. Join us. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
Bonnie.
And Chris.
And it is Free Talk Live. We've been talking about this article from KTVU.com about what appears to be some sort of a pilot program that might be leading to some sort of a universal basic income program. We're not sure how it's connected, and we can get more into that. But first, I need to take a minute and tell you that you're probably aware, if you're not, the Free Talk Live studio was attacked by terrorists with weapons, and they used Bearcats, armored vehicles, battering rams, drones.
Blew out windows.
They blew out windows, door frames,
and structures.
There were multiple federal agencies present who were doing the attacking. They not only attacked the Free Talk Live studio, but also the Bitcoin Embassy.
19 other properties.
19 other properties. They stole Bitcoin vending machines out of many properties. They also attacked a convenience store, albeit there's some question as to whether or not that was legitimately part of their warrant. And so,
I mean, they took him out for 2 days.
6 people were arrested.
Several days.
It was longer than that. It was
Yeah,
like
maybe a week.
almost.
Sorry.
They were down. They were out of business for a while.
Yeah, they stole a POS system. Like, why would you steal a POS system for a convenience store?
Just check the books.
And the safe. They stole the safe too.
My point is that 6 people were arrested, and they face federal charges for simply transacting in cryptocurrency. You can go and look up the actual indictment online. I'm going to not tell you what's all in the indictment because it's lengthy and frankly a little boring to read on the radio. So go look that up if you want to know the details. But these 6 people need actual attorneys. We can't let them have public defenders or they're going to get railroaded. So we've set up a website, thecrypto6.com. Doesn't matter how you spell the word 6 or the number 6, either one, thecrypto6.com, so that you can contribute to the legal defense fund for these 6 people who have been arrested. Currently, 4 of the 6 are out on bail, but they're still facing the charges. They need proper representation. 2 of the 6, that's nobody. That's the person named Nobody, and Ian are still inside. Ian is awaiting a decision on bail from a judge who's taking her damn sweet time, even though she said she would make her decision expeditiously.
Yeah, it's government for you.
So, yes, if you want to contribute, you can do so over at thecrypto6.com. We haven't put it up there yet, but there are several varieties of cryptocurrency that you can use to donate. But if you want to donate regular U.S. dollars, right, that's cash, dirty fiat money, regular dollars, you can do so by PayPal, and you can just send your donation to mark@freetalklive.com. That's MARK at freetalklive.com. You can send that via PayPal as a donation. There have been donations coming in. We were taking donations at some different addresses for different things. Now we're funneling it all through thecrypto6.com. There are some people that we want to thank who have donated, Chris.
Yeah, so I'd like to thank James for donating $100 and a Brian who donated another $300. And I also want to thank all the other people out there who've there's too many people to actually
there really are.
list on the radio. And a lot of them may want to be anonymous, so I won't list everybody. But yeah, I want to thank everybody who's contributed to the campaign. The fundraising campaign, little amounts of money here and there, as well. And I also want to point out there's now a t-shirt, a fundraising t-shirt that says "Free the Crypto 6." It's amazing. It's an amazing t-shirt. Johnson did a great design on it. Check it out, thinkpenguin.com. There's a link in the top right-hand corner that says Crypto 6. Just click it. It'll bring you right to the t-shirt fundraising page. The other thing that the t-shirt says is Bitcoin is not a crime on it. So it's just a great t-shirt. Check it out. And you can also donate when you buy the t-shirt. You can also make a donation of pretty much any amount, just about, with the purchase of a t-shirt. And if you do that, you can also use a credit card. So if you don't have PayPal or you don't want to use PayPal, that is another way to donate too.
Agreed. All right, let's do what we do here at Free Talk Live and go to some of your calls and thoughts. We're going to talk to Turd Ferguson calling from somewhere in Pennsylvania. He claims that he knows how to solve the border crisis. Turd, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yes. I obtained the grand wisdom that 325 million Americans are looking for to solve the border crisis here tonight in my hot tub in Shrewsbury, Pennsylvania.
What is the
grand wisdom?
Can I ask you, Turd, what is the border crisis?
Can you define that?
So right now there are about 100,000 children a month that are showing up at the border trying to come into the country. They are packed into a bunch of cases that Joe Biden's administration actually built in 2013, although he likes to claim that the Trump administration built them, but you'll never hear that on the media, but you will on Free Talk Live.
So these are commonly referred to in the press now as unaccompanied migrant children.
Overflow
Facilities.
Right? Yeah.
But we know that that's a euphemism for what it really means is kids in cages. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly correct, Captain. And before I go on, it does kind of rely on sort of one assumption, I guess, and that's that this is one of the worst border crises we've ever seen here under the Biden administration right now in 2021. It's even worse, much worse than the one in 2019. And can we all just at least agree on that real quick before I keep going?
Have we disagreed on anything at all?
I mean, I have no idea because I'm not there, but that's what I've seen reported. It's getting worse and worse.
I'll assume for the minute you are 100% correct.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, great. So if this is, in fact, the worst border crisis in history, and we have, in fact, the most children crossing the border now at one time, this is what I propose we do to solve the border crisis now and forever. And it would require the Republicans and the Democrats coming together and meeting exactly halfway, exactly 50% for both ways.
I'm sorry, your plan's already out the window. That's never going to happen.
well, listen, it is possible. I mean, and by the way, this is leverage because with a 50-50 plan like this, whatever side refuses to meet in the middle, that's the side at fault. So this is how it works. It's the law itself would be what I call the Great Compromise, or the Take Comp Act, as it would be written. And basically what it would say is that all the children and all the adults that want to come over in the United States are allowed to. And when they do that, and when they get here, they will be given no welfare checks, no education funds, no government welfare whatsoever as a newly entered civilian in the United States. That is the trade-off. That is a 50-50 fair trade-off. That is fair.
I think I have heard other people say that, like, they can come over, but they don't need to be part of the welfare system. Yeah. How about this? Get rid of the welfare system.
Yeah,
bingo.
I have to say, sure. I think it's not the worst possible situation, but I mean, or solution, I guess.
It's the best possible.
A better one would be to get rid of the government, get rid of the system that's keeping people out and keeping people in.
Hey, thanks for the call, Turd. I'm going to have to put a lid on this one. It sounds to me like the government is the problem here and not necessarily people looking for a more prosperous area to call their home. Our phone number is 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. It's bitcoin.com.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You know that at some point in your life, an emergency is going to happen. You just don't know when. You could call the government, and maybe they'll help. Or they might shoot your dog. Why call potentially psychopathic strangers when you could ask your friends, family, or neighbors for help? Cell 411 makes decentralized emergency response possible, and it's free. Visit getcell411.com or download Cell 411 from your favorite app store. Getcell411.com. Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
Yes, it is. Free Talk Live. I assume if you're listening that this is your favorite call-in radio program of all time.
And I'm your favorite host.
Well.
Wow, that's good. I like it.
I mean, I thought I was making a big assumption, but you have one up to me. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the captain, joining me.
Bonnie.
And Chris.
And we've been talking about, well, all sorts of fun things. If you want to call and join us, the telephone number is 603-283-6160. And we'll get to your calls and thoughts in just a moment. But first, Freedom's Phoenix is a liberty-oriented news aggregation website. Do you want the newest and freshest stories and perspective on current events from those who value liberty? freedomsphoenix.com has it. Their daily dispatch is the way to stay up to date on science, technology, historical findings, liberty news, government overspending, and the rise of the police state. That's freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. All right, so we were talking about this article out of ktvu.com saying that Oakland is doing a pilot program for a number of months, I believe 8 months, guaranteeing $500 to roughly 600 families who meet some interesting qualifications. And we can get back to talking about that. But first, let's go to the phones. We've got Bradley calling from Michigan. Bradley, you are on Free Talk Live.
Hi, guys. I don't want to take too much of your time today, but I wanted to discuss how we keep asking the very people that violate our rights and that destroy lives more than anybody that I can think of, we keep asking them for welfare. We want more money.
Who's the we?
Universal basic income, whatever it is.
Who's we in this instance? Because I'm not asking anybody.
Yeah, certainly not you and me, but a large number of Americans.
Okay, so you're talking about like the population of the United States in general?
Yeah. Like, for example, like you're talking about the universal basic income. Everybody's wanting their stimulus checks. Like, people act like this nanny state giving us all these handouts is doing a really good thing for us, yet they fail to look closely at how the last caller was talking about, the children being taken at the border and, being separated from their families.
Right.
You have the government bombing children in the Middle East. You have CPS taking American children away.
Yep.
And putting them in the system where they get neglected, they get abused. When they get out of the system, they end up going to prison a lot of the time.
Yep. You make a lot of really good points. There isn't really anything the government does that I can think of that doesn't exist in violation of either some right, but more importantly, in violation of consent.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, why do people keep asking the government to help them when the government hurts people more than anybody else?
I don't think people understand that they're being manipulated, and the money that's coming. It's basically the money that they're getting from the government is just their own money coming back to them, but a smaller portion of it. I mean, we've been manipulated into believing that, the money that we're under the impression that the government is taking far less money from us than they really are. And then we think we're poor when we're not poor. We're actually wealthy. It's just that they actually skim so much off the top that we become poor.
Also, I would like to say that I didn't understand inflation very much until I met Ian, and he didn't even have to explain it. I just heard him talking about it so much. I didn't really know what gold as a hedge against inflation meant, and now I understand that the things the government does make your money less worth less. So they're stealing from you in that secret way too. They're stealing from you by printing more and by using it for all these things and writing bills where they get to use so much of it, where it may look like you have the same amount of money in your bank account, you actually have less every year.
Right, because it doesn't buy as much as it did.
It looks, in fact, it will look like you have more money in your bank account than you had 20 years ago, but it will get you less.
Right.
Well, see, and I don't have that problem because I pretty much put all my money in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies.
Smart move.
Hopefully you've diversified.
Yeah, diversification's better than all crypto.
Recommend anybody put all of their eggs into one basket.
Right.
But,
definitely not.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to talk down anybody who actually needs help, because that's the thing is these people are being made more poor. Their lives are being destroyed by the state. So I can understand if they want some help.
Sure.
But the thing that I want people to realize is that you shouldn't be looking to your abusers for help.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more.
Spot on.
I would invite anybody, if there's anybody out there that's listening, that they feel like the government has actually improved their lives, I would like them to call in and tell me how the government has improved their lives.
Is anybody like nobody?
What's that?
Is anybody like nobody?
It hasn't improved nobody's life. Look where he's at right now.
Indeed. Yeah. Hey, Bradley, thank you for the call. I just want to say that, in my opinion, most people do not understand basic economics.
No,
or they do, but they think that economics is a field that's so complex that only really smart people can understand economics, because it's been convoluted by not only banks and financial companies, but the government working hand in hand with these people have made it so convoluted that it might be difficult for a layperson to understand, like stocks and bonds or that type of a thing. But basic economics is just supply and demand. That's all that it is. That's all that it's ever been. That's all that it ever will be. The economy has nothing to do with banks financial industries and government, because the economy is just people transacting with each other for stuff that they need. Now, the banks want you to think that they own the economy. The government wants you to think that they own the economy, and they can make all of the economic decisions in this fictitious cloud known as the economy. No, the economy is just people transacting with other people.
And the economy is independent of the banks, really. Right. It's even if you get rid of the banks and you get rid of the government, we still have an economy. Right. We might be bartering, your strawberries for my, bread, but it's still an economy.
And that's one great thing that Goldbacks was trying to solve. It's just gold. It's not backed by anything.
And it's not government.
And it's not government. There was an economy before there was central banks.
Absolutely.
And there will be one after them. And all it is just people transacting with other people for stuff that they need.
I would love to talk about what he had brought up too, just like that poor people are wanting help, and they would probably hear us and just think, it's so rude that you don't want the government to help me. I'm struggling.
You hate the poor.
Well, so in 2019, I was like dirt poor, like rock bottom poor. I didn't want to do this job I was doing anymore that was like getting me from point A to point B. So I quit that job, and I was having a hard time finding another job. I started doing Postmates. I was really poor, and I started falling into this. Like, I'd hear my friends talking about like Andrew Yang, and I actually was like, he's probably a good idea. And I had been a libertarian, but I just like didn't have a great grasp on economics. And I can totally see how you could fall into that. But please understand, if you're listening, it's a trap, and I would love for somebody to call in and tell me how the government has helped them.
Take the government's
so
money,
can help you understand.
But don't support what they're doing.
603-283-6160 is our phone number. This is Free Talk Live.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
I was doing my regular 11 o'clock security sweep around the perimeter of my house when I noticed a couple of young people having intercourse in the front seat of a car out in the street. So I ran inside and I grabbed my video camera. As you can imagine, I stood in those bushes for over 20 minutes watching these two degenerates grind against each other, and I'm thinking, this behavior is simply unacceptable. Now, if you think this is an isolated incident, you are dead to rights wrong. I have 36 hours of footage to prove it that I have personally collected from sickos just around my own town. For example, I saw perverts having sex in swimming pools clearly visible from the roofs of adjacent buildings, on boats that anybody could see with a telescope, at night on the beaches where they can easily be watched by anyone hiding behind a fence wearing their night vision goggles. It's simply disgusting.
This is the Onion News Network.
Everyone's always talking about buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. That's boring as hell. How about earning some Bitcoin? Getting paid with it. That's the way. It is money after all. If you want to earn Bitcoin at your business, AnyPay is the way to do it. Your customers will love it. Everyone in town will talk about your store being the Bitcoin store, and it's just fun. Get our free app and start earning Bitcoin at your business. AnyPayX.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Fact. The new NSA data center in Utah requires 1.7 million gallons of water every single day to operate. Billions of Fourth Amendment violations need massive computers and the water to cool them. That water is being supplied by the state of Utah. Fact: there's absolutely nothing in the Constitution which requires your state to help the feds violate your rights. Our message to Utah: turn it off. No water equals no NSA data center. Visit offnow.org.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Yes, this is the show where you can talk about whatever is on your mind. It is Free Talk Live. Our telephone number in the studio is 603-283-6160. You can talk about whatever's on your mind by dialing that number. We have some calls on hold we'll get to in just a minute. But first, I wanted to tell you that I am your host, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me tonight,
it's Bonnie.
And Chris.
We had been talking about this article from KTVU. It appears that the mayor of Oakland, in cooperation with some sort of a private organization, are doing a pilot for what appears to be something to get people on board for some sort of a universal basic income. We can continue talking about that in a bit, but we prefer to take your calls. So let's first go to Vernon calling from Louisiana. Vernon, you're on Free Talk Live.
So one of the things that I was reading was about the hearing, the bail hearing that Mr. Freeman had. Mm-hmm. And one of the accusations that the prosecutor was saying was that he had knowledge of where these transactions that he was, converting from dollar into Bitcoin were coming from. And to me, I feel like he was doing his due diligence by asking where you got the money from, basically. And I wanted to see if there was any information on that accusation, and do other Bitcoin providers that do this sort of thing. By the way, I don't know anything about Bitcoin, so I'm still learning. But okay. Do they have to ask that kind of thing as well?
So, I mean, the answer to your first question is I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what his processes were specifically for vetting people. I know that he did have a process.
I would counter that with, how would you know where somebody's source of funds were that was buying crypto from you?
Like if I have a garage sale and somebody comes up and they've got $50 to buy my used lawnmower, I'm not going to be like, hey, where'd you get that $50 from, pal?
Right? Well, I'm just going to take. The prosecutor had an idea of where it was coming from, which is why I was just curious why they were accusing him.
Well, this is just their accusations, right? That doesn't mean that they have any type of proof. But also, we don't have the answer to this. I don't want to keep speculating. We should not be speculating on something like this because we just don't know the answer. I'm Ian's girlfriend, and I have never been like, so go through the process of your Bitcoin stuff with me. That's just none of my business.
Yeah, right. Nobody here would ask about those types of questions. But the question is really the government was monitoring it, and they have access to information that Ian would never have access to. So they can make an accusation, but that doesn't mean the accusation is true. They might know something like where the source of somebody's funds were that bought crypto, but Ian wouldn't have known that.
Yeah. Now there's something in the world known as KYC, or Know Your Customer.
That's a little different, though, than knowing where the source of the funds were coming from.
But what I'm saying is that even those businesses, individuals, or exchanges that do employ KYC, all they do is verify a person with like some sort of government ID, a bank account. They don't ask those people where the money came from when they're doing an exchange. So it's really weird to me. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you. It did. And exactly, I completely agree with you. Like, where in the world do they get this knowledge? So thank you all.
Awesome. Thanks for the call. Yeah, I'm as confused as Vernon is about some of the accusations. Like, they just seem sort of oddball and out of nowhere to me.
Well, they're false accusations, I think, is what it comes down to. And even if the government had information, it's not, it's pretty apparent that somebody who is selling Bitcoins would not have that information. And in fact, that's one of the issues with selling Bitcoins. You don't know effectively, who you're dealing with, and there's no way. And it's the same thing just true of the banks. The banks don't know who they're dealing with. They may have a name, they might have a social security number, but they don't know, anything about the business or the transactions that are occurring, where the source of funds are. Now, they may have to ask, and they might ask something like, what's your business? Yes, they'll ask that. But beyond that, they still don't know where the source of funds actually are coming from.
Yeah, even cash itself, you can, outside of like the serial number on the dollar bills that you use, if I'm selling anything, right? If I'm a brewer and I'm selling beer, right? When people come in and go, hey, can I have a pint of this stout or whatever? And I go, sure. And I serve them a pint and I give them the bill at the end of the night and they pay me in cash. I don't go, where did you get this cash from?
I know, that's suspicious that you have cash.
For them to accuse something that nobody does, and I don't mean the co-host, no, I mean that people don't do as a general rule in any kind of transaction, right? Nobody asks where your cash came from when doing a transaction. It's preposterous. So at any rate, let's continue with your calls and thoughts. Let's go to Courtney calling from Michigan. Courtney, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi. Well, first off, I wanted to say that you guys are awesome. And even though certain places were being shut down and that your guys' equipment was being removed, I really appreciate that you guys are still on the air.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
And we couldn't be on the air if it wasn't for just the massive amount of support from both listeners of the show and supporters of the show and our local community here. People who believe in freedom and liberty. It's because of that the show managed to continue to operate in spite of massive 5-year investigation and raids on 19 properties.
That's charity. Like, Chris here literally gave me a phone because mine was stolen.
Yep, that's right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because we support people in our community, and if you come to New Hampshire, we're going to support you too if you do, if you're an activist and so on.
Courtney?
Well, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. What I wanted to speak about is I'm the same one that has called in about my CPS case, and I actually just went through my termination trial.
What is that?
And,
oh, yikes.
Can you explain for the listeners?
Termination trial.
Determination or termination?
They want to terminate my parental rights on my children and adopt them out.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Well, during the trial, it was pretty funny how everybody through the defense had all their witnesses, or not defense, but the prosecutor had all their witnesses go up on the stand, and everybody actually contradicted everybody else's statement. And it took about 4 days for all their witnesses to go up on the stand. And then the other day, because my trial just went on this week, the CPS worker actually committed perjury, and we were able to motion that she committed perjury, had evidence of it, and her complete testimony got removed.
Oh, that's good news.
Huh.
So what's next then?
Did you have a proper lawyer in this case, or was it just somebody appointed by the clerk the court, if you mind me asking?
I actually paid for my attorney.
Good, smart move.
As well as the the lady that actually has my children, for one, she has 6 different children in her home. They all have special needs. My daughter, who does not have any type of special needs, she was trying to state that she did. They actually did a trauma assessment on my daughter, and it stated that all the information stated by the foster parent was basically invalid, and that she was pretending, or that she was giving accusations for a cry for help for that child, when those accusations or those things that were given to, or the information that was given to these workers wasn't even present.
Courtney, can you hang on? Can you hang on?
Yes.
Okay, stand by.
Yep.
We'll find out what else is going on with Courtney and her CPS case here on Free Talk Live. We've got more coming up.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. It is the live radio call-in program known as Free Talk Live. The telephone number here is 603-283-6160. And in the studio tonight, it's myself, the captain.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
We're attempting to talk about this article from KTVU, and we've talked a little bit about it, where they're doing some sort of a pilot program where something like 600 families will receive $500 a month for the next 8 months or so. And we can continue talking about that. We've also been talking to some callers, and one of the callers who remained on hold, thank you, Courtney, has been giving us an update about her case with CPS. Now, Bonnie seemed to remember some details. Will you recap for me?
So Courtney could probably do a better job at recapping, but so basically her son has autism and he was 7. He got out of the house and he was walking towards the babysitter's house, but a cop intercepted the kid who could have just easily made it to the babysitter's house and everything would be fine today. But the cop intercepted the kid and decided to cause problems with her, not broke down her door, but entered her house just because a neighbor opened the door, so was not welcomed in, but allowed himself in, and gave her a drunk and disorderly in her own home because she was upset that there was a cop trying to take her child from her. Is that correct, Courtney?
Yes, that's correct.
Wow, that is more detail than I could possibly have remembered.
I've just been really disturbed by your story since I heard it.
It is a disturbing story, though, isn't it?
It is. So, Courtney, you've been to court now for what you're calling the termination trial. For those of us who don't know, that's where they try and take away parental rights. And it sounds like some things went right for you. Is that right?
Yes, everything actually went very well, especially in my.
Do you have your kid back?
Behalf. No, I don't have
speak
my
too
kid
soon.
back. The last day for our termination trial is actually this Monday coming up.
Okay. All right. So that's the next step is that trial or that hearing?
Yes, for that day. Okay. I actually have, because it took about 4 days for the prosecuting side witnesses to go up on the stand.
Wow.
And so I only got 2 days for my witnesses to go up on the stand. Mind you, I had about 31 witnesses on my list.
Wow.
Why didn't you get more time? I don't understand that.
Oh, well, the judge up here was getting a little irritated about the fact that it has been extended so long.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, my children were removed in June of 2019.
Wow.
And we are just now going to court over it.
2 years later, yeah. Is your court in person with people, or are you doing Zoom court?
No, actually, it's in person.
Wow.
I've had about 5 people go up on the stand. Everybody that I have is actually workers or counselors or doctors or programs that I've worked with.
Okay.
And all their statements were actually consistent compared to the prosecuting side, where one statement would say this, and then the next person would go up and say that. So it was very inconsistent on their side.
Mm-hmm.
And so my side was very consistent.
All right. I wish you the best, and I hope you give us a call back and let us know how this all turns out. Courtney, thank you for the call today. I know how these things go with family court. Family court operates very differently than just regular court. Like if you're going to like traffic court, or even if you're like accused of a felony or something like that, family court operates very, very differently from all of those, where, you know, it's always the judge making the decision.
It's disgusting.
It is a disgusting mockery of justice. And I really wish you the best, Courtney. I hope it all works out for you. Good luck, and let us know how it turns out. If you have not seen the documentary called Divorce Corp, I highly recommend you watch that documentary to just give you the slightest of tastes of how just bizarre family court actually is. Family court can do things that no other court can. They ruin lives routinely. They rarely dispense any justice in any way, shape, or form, and they always make more money for themselves.
Victims, and create lots of victims. It has been referred to as an attorney enrichment program. That is family court. So if you have a license in law and no ethics or morals and you want to make some money, well, you know, maybe you should do family court.
In Courtney's case, I can just say it doesn't seem to me that it has been a net positive for the children involved, because
it's been 2 years.
2 years.
Well,
the kid was 7 years old.
Well, I would just like to point out, like, if the kid had made it to the babysitter's house without the without the cop intercepting him, all that would have happened was he would have made it to the babysitter's house because he knew how to get there and it was up the street, and then he would have been brought home, and the mom would have been like, you know, maybe thought of tighter ways to keep the kid from escaping, since he wanted to escape. But let me just say, she said that in the time that her kid has been in custody of these strangers, he's been molested. Do you think that it's better for a kid to go run off and get lost for a few hours and get taken home? Or do you think it's better for a kid to be held by a bunch of strangers and molested? And obviously this has not been a net positive. So if it's not a net positive, why are we still doing this? Why are we letting strangers take care of other people's kids?
Yep.
Did the kid, I was under the impression the mom was letting her 7-year-old walk to the babysitter's house. It wasn't like the kid ran out, or
she wasn't letting him, but it was a situation that got turned into a small problem that got escalated 10 million times. Now the kid has been traumatized, probably from being away from his kids, and definitely, or away from his mom, and definitely from being molested.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems absolutely ridiculous, the whole situation, whether or not the kid was, you know, given permission or not. You know, it's you know, even you know, if it was like a young child, right? It's like, it happens. That happens. It's not something that doesn't happen. It happens like every day.
Yep.
There's parent. I mean, if I am doubtful that there's any kid who has not gotten loose from their parents at some point growing up. Yet parents can't keep an eye on, you know, a kid 24/7. It just doesn't happen, even when they're very young.
Yeah.
You know, it's
a
so
kid's
ridiculous.
a lifetime to a kid, especially at like 7 years old or maybe 9 years old by now. It's been 2 years, right? Is very short. So like 2 years of a 9-year-old's life is, you know, what, 20% of their life, right? So for a child to be raised by an institution for those 2 years, right? That's to say foster care, an orphanage of some type, that type of a thing, where they're governed by social workers and they have to be paid a visit by agents of the state all the time. That in and of itself, regardless of any accusations of molestation, that in and of itself is a traumatizing experience. Children should not be raised by institutions.
Yeah, you know, and this is something that I think somebody here has firsthand experience of, even, so they can speak to it if they feel like it.
It's true.
Yeah.
I've been in and out of foster care. I was in a bit of an orphanage for a very short period of time. I have been through family court. I've been through the adoption process, which, I mean, none of it is geared towards helping. It's all about what hoops you jump through, how much you pay the attorneys, and then, you know, the family court just kind of arbitrarily goes, okay, you know, we'll make some decisions for you. So, yeah.
The worst part about it is she had a little network in her own community. She didn't need this babysitter type cop who was out just looking for trouble. She had a neighbor who was authorized to come in her house that actually was coming in to check on her. That's how the cops got into her house. And she had this other neighbor that was a babysitter that was going to get the child and bring it home. It was just so unnecessary.
The whole thing did absolutely sound ridiculous. This woman is not some lunatic. At least it doesn't appear that way from what we know.
She obviously cares about her kids.
Right. I mean, she has a private lawyer. She has a babysitter. She has, clearly demonstrated an ability to care for this child.
And it's not illegal to drink in your own house when you have kids, and she wasn't being disorderly. She was facing a man with a gun coming in her house, telling her that he was going to take her kids away.
This is what happens when agents of the state get involved and want to feel all-powerful. More Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20 mymagicmud.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The Justice Department is examining it. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. That's what President Biden is saying after a sweeping overhaul of voting procedures was signed into law in Georgia.
An election law signed by Georgia's governor Thursday amounts to Jim Crow in the 21st century, President Biden says, in a blatant attack on the Constitution in good conscience.
Nothing but punitive, designed to keep people from voting.
The president addressing that law outside Marine One.
Can't provide water for people about to vote. Give me a break.
Provisions of the law add ID requirements for absentee ballots, limits the use of ballot drop boxes, and curbs who is allowed to hand out food or water to voters waiting in line. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
The attorney for Park Cannon, the Georgia state rep, charged with 2 felonies after she knocked on Governor Brian Kemp's office door while he was on live TV talking about the new law, says the charges of obstruction of law enforcement and disruption of the General Assembly are an overreach. She was released from jail late yesterday. During the White House COVID response team's weekly update on progress in fighting the virus, CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky says she's concerned about the trajectory in the number of cases.
We have seen cases and hospital admissions move from historic declines to stagnations to increases. And we know from prior surges that if we don't control things now, there is a real potential for the epidemic curve to soar again.
The 7-day rolling average for daily new cases in the U.S. increased over the past 2 weeks from over 55,500 on March 11th to over 58,600 yesterday, according to Johns Hopkins University. Celebrated children's author Beverly Cleary, who gave us the characters of Ramona, Beezus Quimby, and Henry Huggins, has died. He was 104. America is listening to Fox News.
Are you running a business? Then why are you still going to the post office? Do it all online with Stamps.com. Avoid trips to the post office, print postage, send invoices, letters, or packages, and schedule pickups right from your home or office 24/7. With Stamps.com, you get discounts up to 40% off post office rates and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter code FOX for a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. Stamps.com, code FOX.
The Justice Department cracking down on coronavirus scam artists.
Nearly 500 people have been arrested for alleged schemes targeting the Paycheck Protection Program, unemployment insurance, and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. The Justice Department says the cases involve efforts to defraud the government and unsuspecting individuals of around $570 million. In a statement, Acting Assistant Attorney General Nicholas McQuaid said, to anyone thinking of using the global pandemic as an opportunity to scam and steal from hardworking Americans, my advice is simple. Don't. Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
Starting next month, unemployed South Carolinians will have to prove they're looking for work if they want to keep receiving jobless benefits. The South Carolina Department of Employment and Workforce had suspended the twice-weekly mandatory work searches due to the pandemic, but the requirement goes back into effect April 18th. About 125,000 residents are drawing the unemployment benefits weekly. Police in Miami Beach out in force again as they try to keep spring break crowds under control.
Police last night slowly swept through Ocean Drive in the South Beach Entertainment District, reminding everyone that Thursday through Sunday, the curfew is 8. The tourists I spoke with were aware of the deal before they flew into town, but still not so happy about it. What police and city leaders don't want to see this weekend is another rowdy and raucous scene like last weekend. When police cleared the streets, the crowd moved into the residential neighborhoods, sometimes jumping on, stomping on, and damaging cars.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
After vetting the 37-year-old for factors such as looks, screen presence, and film credits, Hollywood insiders unanimously agreed this week that area man Dennis Kiernan lacks the sheer star power necessary to carry a major motion picture. Industry experts spoke to reporters today about the Charlottesville, Virginia resident, who they say just doesn't have what it takes to crack into the A-list.
Love him or hate him, I think we can all agree that Dennis Kiernan is not a bankable star. He's got to have sex appeal, talent, charisma, and most importantly, that X factor. I should want to sleep with Dennis. I should want to be Dennis. Do I want to be Dennis? No.
Experts agreed the Virginia native and father of one does not have the widespread appeal required to secure a distribution deal with wide release, while also saying they had no reason to believe Kiernan would ever be capable of delivering the type of powerhouse performance that generates buzz at Sundance, Cannes, or Comic-Con.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Yes, it is Free Talk Live. We're here 7 nights a week, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And we are a live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever's on your mind. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. Save it to your Rolodex. Add it to your Palm Pilot. You know, like people are like, "What are you talking about, Captain?"
Even I don't have a Palm Pilot anymore.
What's a Palm Pilot? You got a Trio?
I've heard of that, but I don't know what it is.
Well,
this is
old. Was before your time.
This is old technology.
Is it a beeper?
Is it a beeper? Yes. Put this number in your beeper.
Oh my God!
I actually wasn't joking. I still don't know what it is.
It's okay. So it's basically a phone, but without the phone part.
Yeah. So there used to be two separate things. There were cell phones that you could make and receive calls and listen to voicemails and leave voicemails, basically. And then there were these other devices that were called PDAs, or personal data assistants. And you would have to put these into some sort of a cradle attached to your computer with like a USB cable. And it would sync like your calendar and your contacts and all that kind of stuff. If you made any changes on your computer, it would sync over to your phone to make things easier for you. Right, so you didn't have to have stuff in two different places. Then one day, somebody got a brilliant idea and said, why don't we just add a phone to the PDA, and then everybody can have everything in one spot? And that's how the modern smartphones got started.
God, you make me feel so old.
You know, I do apologize for making you feel old. However, you can't possibly feel older than me because I know I'm older than you. So
yeah, this is correct.
To me, that's almost somewhat recent technology.
I know. I feel like it's recent technology too, and I still want my Palm Pilot. Like I can't get them they don't make them anymore.
Some of the places that I grew up in had actual rotary phones. That's right. Rotary phones.
I actually had a rotary phone when I was little too. So you're not
I know.
quite the age difference. This isn't quite that big.
Did you have 4-digit dialing?
No, it was trying to think what it was by the time I was.
It's probably at least
7,
right?
7
yeah,
was
digit.
it? 6, yeah.
Your
it's basically just without
four.
the area code is what I had. So
no, we had 4-digit dialing,
old.
And so like if we needed to call the neighbor right next door, we could just dial the last 4 digits of their phone number and get them. That has been done away with in modern telephony. So yeah, that no longer exists. At any rate, in the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass, joining me.
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
You should write down that phone number or otherwise add it to your smartphone, 603-283-6160. Without further delay, let's go to, is it Davey in Illinois?
Hi, this is Daisy in Illinois.
Daisy.
I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller, and I'm calling because a friend of mine, my bandmate, just recently got kicked out of a church over speaking out against, our current whole pandemic and government solutions and societal normals and whatnot. And
did they do like a wicked heavy metal, guitar solo and then go, COVID is fake, yeah, and then get kicked out of church?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, just the kind of talking out against, the same kind of things you hear a lot of people talking out about, and then they kicked him off the worship team, and then they kicked him out of the church. He wrote him a letter.
So yeah, hang on. I was going to ask, did somebody face to face come to him, like the reverend or the deacon of the church or some, other church titled person? Did they come to him and go, hey, look, I don't know what this guy's name is, but hey, look, guy, this, that, and the other thing, and we don't want you on this committee anymore, and we're going to kick you out of the church? It sounds like that didn't happen. I think you mentioned they sent him a letter?
They told him on the phone, and he sent them a letter.
Okay.
As an address of grievance.
Okay.
Then they had filed a police report.
Wait, what?
Saying that he's not welcome to go to church anymore there.
Oh my goodness.
So we're gonna make our own worship services. That's kind of and we're gonna do it better.
There you go.
That's kind of what the plan was.
That's kind of like the agorist way of doing that, in a way.
I think so.
I'd be like, you're doing me a favor, dude. Thanks for kicking me out. I don't even want to be here in the first place.
Thank you.
I don't know
yeah,
what.
a bunch of squares.
Yeah, I don't know about what denomination this church is that you're talking about, but growing up in Christian churches, I definitely have noticed that people like to grab power whenever they can, and if that power is being the head of the choir, then they're going to grab it. And if they don't like what you have to say about Jesus, what you believe about Jesus, then they're going to, try to use that against you. There's just lots of politics that happen in churches.
Politics and prejudice. I know a lot of churches preach a lot of good stuff, but in my experience anyway, attending these places, I experienced much politics and many prejudices.
Yep. I appreciate the moral support.
I got a question for you. This is a church where people were physically showing up, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the biggest church in the area.
Then why on earth would they be kicking somebody out for speaking bad about COVID? Like that's like you're already coming together as a church, like members of a church.
Right, yeah.
Like this just seems so hypocritical.
The people at the tavern are much cooler. I found.
Now that's a church I can get into.
Much more relaxed.
The Church of the Holy Beerstein. Thanks for the call, Daisy. We appreciate it. It's either that or it sounds like he was attending the Church of the Holy Mask, which is a whole different church. So one I would not want to attend personally. I'm not trying to rag on religion, but religions rag on other religions. For whatever reason, a lot of people who are involved with whatever religion they're involved in seem to believe that their religion is the most correct religion. Now, that might be true for themselves.
Yeah.
But, and that's fine if that's all the further they take it, but they often attempt to otherwise convert people from one religion to their religion, or from even the same religion to their particular sub-denomination and subset of beliefs of that religion. And to me, religion should be a personal choice.
Yeah.
Personal choice.
It seems very much like a sickness to me. I mean, if what you're practicing is what you preach, and it's peace and so forth, yes. I get it. But that's not, most of these people are not, they might be preaching it, but they ain't practicing it. You know what I mean?
And it's also a question of respect. Right. So if you subscribe to your religion and you want to attend your religious services, far out, solid, and right on. It's when you are unable to respect somebody else's religion, somebody else's practices, and that may, and you get a feeling of superiority over them because, well, I belong to my religion and my religion's the most correct religion, right? That's where I have a huge problem with people.
When I was a kid and I lived in Kansas, I was like 4 or 5 years old. I remember this so clearly. A part of my church split off and started having their own church on Wednesday nights at their house. And it was a lot of like the older people, and my mom was part of the group that split off. And they were all about, they believed in like that there was actually like demonic or, evil entities out there, and that Jesus prayed to get rid of them. But the church that was the actual building didn't want people talking about that. And I don't know if it sounds crazy to say this on the air, but I had a prayer group in the split off church that helped heal my horrible nightmares. I had nightmares every single night, like I'd be crying in my sleep every night as a kid. And they gave me an exorcism is what they said.
Okay.
And it stopped.
Sweet.
So I'm just,
congratulations.
I'm not against the idea that there's probably, demons or, entities out there. And, if they believed in that, if they didn't split, maybe more people could have, came together and understood that better. But nope, you believe in that, you're gone. That's a bad way of doing things, I think.
Yeah, there's certainly many things in the world that I cannot explain, even things that I've experienced that I can't explain. So I'm not, bold enough to say, hey, you're wrong. We've got more Free Talk Live coming up.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Hey developers, do you want to add Bitcoin to your apps, website? Want to make something creative? AnyPay is the way. We made a super simple API just for you at anypay.dev. You don't need any special knowledge of Bitcoin. Plug it into your app or website and it just works. Get paid on the transactions your users make. Whether you're brand new to web development or have decades of experience, you can add Bitcoin to anything with anypay.dev.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Are you about to meet the media? If you're about to be interviewed, do their homework for them. Know this about the person who will interview you. He or she is busy, so expect minimal, if any, preparation. He or she doesn't know as much about your topic as you do. He or she isn't as concerned as you are about getting your message out, so you need to take responsibility. Provide a biography and fact sheet, photographs, or other materials that tell your story. Reporters won't be put off if you supply frequently asked questions. Remember, Public Speaking 101, at the end of the speech, what's the one thing you want them to remember? You can download the document I supply to reporters who interview me and squirm through a video that demonstrates how not to conduct your media interview at www.survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio is great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
Welcome. You are in the correct place for the Friday night edition of Free Talk Live. In the studio tonight, it is myself, the captain. Joining me,
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
The telephone number to call into our lovely program is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. I do want to take a minute to mention that we are doing a fundraiser, a legal aid fundraiser for the Crypto 6. The website that you want to go to is thecrypto6.com. We've managed to get both URLs, so thecryptosix.com as well as thecrypto and then the number 6.com will take you to the right place, where you can donate to the Legal Defense Fund for the 6 folks who were arrested in the recent terrorist raids by the government on not only the Free Talk Live studio, but the Bitcoin Embassy. The first Bitcoin machine ever in New Hampshire was stolen, along with other Bitcoin ATMs at up to 19 other locations. 6 people were arrested. This is all related to them transacting in cryptocurrency, and we know that cryptocurrency is not a crime. So please, if you can find it in your hearts, in your crypto wallets to donate, visit thecrypto6.com. If you want to donate in regular United States dollars, dirty fiat as we call it, you can send a PayPal donation to mark@freetalklive.com. That's MARK at freetalklive.com. Any contributions there are helpful. If you think that, oh, these guys have been advertising on the radio, they've got enough money to get, no, we don't.
We will stop. And if you want us to stop, make a bigger donation.
Yeah, we will stop asking for donations when we've got enough to get these folks all lawyered up appropriately so that they don't end up using public attorneys and get railroaded by the system as so many other people have. So again, thecrypto6.com. Let's go to more of your calls. We've got Axel calling from Wisconsin. Axel, you say that you are the guy that Daisy mentioned who got kicked out of church.
Yes, I am the guy who got banned from church.
So you wanted to give us some background. What led up to these events?
Well, let me take a quick trip back in time. I stopped going to church 20 years ago, and I became fully awake and aware of the religious institution that Christianity calls itself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I am a follower and believer in Christ Jesus, Yeshua HaMashiach.
Okay.
And I do my best to follow his commandments, love one another, love your neighbor as yourself. And I love music. I play harmonica and guitar.
See, I was hoping you'd ripped off a wicked, heavy metal guitar solo and was like, yeah, I'm out of here.
R.I.P. Jesus, you would have loved Dave's music.
I was hoping for that opportunity, actually. I moved to Central Illinois back in 2016, and after 15 years of not going to church, I actually kind of wanted to meet some semi-decent people, which is kind of funny. But
okay,
I began going to the church, and it wasn't too long before I got invited on the worship team, and I have a lot of thankfulness to them for being able to expand my harmonica playing ability.
Okay.
But when this whole, as I call it, pandemic started, I saw the church following the guidelines, and I was constantly on Pastor Krusty's case about opening the church.
Yeah.
And because the Lord doesn't give us a spirit of fear, and no weapon formed against us shall prosper, but yet he still wanted to follow the guidelines. So I hemmed and hawed and went along with it. And finally they had church in the building in October. So this is where it gets a little complicated on my fault. But they were having services in the park up to October on the nice days when it wasn't raining, and outside the church building.
Right.
On the day they opened service, it was a nice day, and Krusty jumps up there and says, if I knew it was going to be such a nice day, I would have had service outside. So it's like a new chapter in our new normal. And I immediately bounced up and said, bye, I'm not brainwashed. No new normal for me, as I walked out of the church. I'll let you guys relegate on that for a moment.
So you were you stood up in the congregation and the pastor was up on the stage and you said bye to him because you didn't want him preaching about new normal, and you wanted you were trying to make a point that you're not down with the whole brainwashing, double speak, new normal stuff, right?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
But this wasn't a church, correct?
Yes, this was at a church building.
In church during the service, no less, right? Okay, so
during the service. Yeah.
Okay, so
now, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I back up just one thing? Previously to that service, the pastor had told me they were going to have two services, one for the people who were afraid and one for the people who didn't care. And then prior to that Sunday's service, they got on Facebook and did a live video and said they were going to encourage mask wearing for both services and social conditioning, as in distancing.
Right.
And so I was already a little ticked off with that.
Yeah, I can imagine. We did several stories about many churches who were shut down, told you can't have service in person at all, whether or not it was outside and socially distanced and masked up and all that kind of stuff. They're just like, nope, sorry, which, of course, we here from our perspective of freedom have a huge issue with. So anyway, continue with your story.
Now, let me add a note that this church has black masks with their name printed on them. So you're right about the Church of the Holy Mask.
Oh, jeez. Oh, my gosh. Hello, my name is, right on the face mask, huh?
Right. So the thing is, I just bought a house in this town, and now I'm on paper at the police station with a little report saying if I step on this church's property, I get charged with criminal trespassing.
Oh, wait, so I have a question. I'm lost a little bit. So when you stood up and you told the church that you were leaving, that is when you got kicked out?
No, I actually tried to reconcile the situation. I started going back, but I constantly asked the pastor to stop selling the pandemic, to stop selling the COVID, but he's done nothing but mention the COVID and the pandemic every single service since then.
And I know that Christians believe that you're not supposed to, spread a spirit of fear. So I'm agreeing with you so far. Can we keep him on?
Yeah, Axel, do you want to hold on?
Sure.
All right, stand by. We'll bring you back. This is Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160. We'll hear more about Axel and how he got kicked out of church for opposing the new normal. This is Free Talk Live.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
Free Talk Live.
If anybody else wanted to know how to do it, y'all gave them the information, and plus how to get illegal drugs, how to get hand grenades, and I mean, this is a free country, but I don't, but you gave out web addresses, Silk something.
The Silk Road is a revolutionary website that allows people to buy from the black market in a much safer manner than they currently buy, and I'm all about harm reduction, Bob. I think that reducing harm...
This is great for a free country. Let's get everybody on to safer illegal drugs.
Do you think anybody did crack after watching our show that had never done it before?
That's part of your liberty, that because it's okay with a lot of people, So let's make sure we have it. Let's keep advertising.
No,
on
I
this
think
radio.
that it is not my right to tell you what is right or wrong to put in your body, and nor is it your business to tell me what is right or wrong to put in my body or what I'm going to do with my uterus.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealestate.com.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live, the live call-in radio talk program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever's on your mind. The telephone number is 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass. Joining me,
It's Bonnie.
And Chris.
And you can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for Forkfest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Forkfest happens the week after Porcupine Freedom Festival, and Forkfest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. It also means there's no ticket cost. You just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving folks in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever type of experience or event you'd like others to have or participate in. If you're planning an event for Forkfest, please be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow Forkfesters on the unofficial Telegram chat or on the Forkfest forum. Links to those can be found on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021, and we'll see you at forkfest.party. No, Forkfest is not a food festival. It's not like a gathering of like all the best food trucks and all that stuff. There's plenty of food, don't get me wrong, but there's also entertainment, and it is basically camping and partying. So if you enjoy that type of a situation, please join us. Let us go back to the phones. We were talking with Axel, who was about to get to the point of how he got kicked out of this church for opposing the new normal, all the new COVID stuff.
Right. How you doing?
Good.
Okay, so as I explained before, I reached out to the pastor, told him maybe I'm out of line. Let's reconcile the situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we talked about it. He says, "Well, I love you, I forgive you, but it's going to take a while to build trust back up." I was telling him, "Well, you're a biblically structured church, right? You have elders. You follow the biblical formation of what a church is supposed to be." He even explained to me they tried to practice the first church structure.
Okay, so what did you do that made him finally kick you out?
Well, I continued to go when I could. I'm a freight relocation engineer, so I can't make it all the time. So I went when I could. They actually had a different worship leader during the whole pandemic, and I wasn't able to be on the worship team, and I tried to figure out why. I never got a clear answer with that.
Okay.
But at the beginning of this year, they emailed me and said to put together a new worship team because the worship team leader was leaving. So I went to the meeting after church service, gave them ideas because they wanted ideas, was looking forward to getting back on the worship team.
Yep.
And then Super Bowl Sunday was the last service I went to. I called the pastor and told him I was inspired. I'd like to speak on a message. I mean, this is a, first century style church, right? Everybody gets to share a word, right? And he's like, "We don't want you on the worship team. We don't want you on stage. We don't trust what you're going to say. And if you continue to pursue it," and that's where I hung up the phone call, so I didn't lash out on him.
Okay.
Because that wouldn't be a very Christ-like thing to do.
So you weren't on the stage when you got kicked out of church? I thought that you were on stage when you got kicked out of church. Can you tell us about that part?
No, I got kicked out over a phone call, basically.
And it was based off of this, you wanting to say your message, and then they called you and ended up just saying, "Never mind, you can't come"?
They didn't tell me I can't come. I actually told the pastor, texted him. I texted him, so it's in writing. I told him I will not be coming. If you're not going to let me be on worship team, and if you're going to speak about how you're not supposed to treat people of the world or treat people the way the world treats them, and you're treating me exactly, which is going against one of your previous services, then I'm not coming. And then they go and send me a letter, a certified letter, from the police station with a report saying if I go back on their property,
you got the no trespass order. Okay. Hey, thanks for the call, Axel. I appreciate it. I wish you the best, of course. Good luck with that. But I think you're on the right path with starting your own worship team or worship group and proceeding that way. It is unfortunate that those events occurred. Continuing on with the phone calls, let's just go to David in New Mexico. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Man, that's the exact same thing that happened to another Axel across the state line in Indiana years ago. He was a musician, got kicked out of the church. He started hitchhiking to L.A., started a rock band called Guns N' Roses.
Oh, my God.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, he's no sweet child of mine, that's for sure.
Yeah, but
what's on your mind, David? Get to the point.
And those people aren't worth hanging out with anyway, man. So your caller, Courtney. So notable notes on Courtney. So she sounded like a reasonable person, right? Not to mention that that's her own kid, and that's her own kid's own mom. And then she's having a drink in her own house or whatever. She's got a kid with autism, so the whole world is going to save the kid with autism from a parent that is having a beer or whatever, and then a cop trespasses in her house.
Yeah, indeed.
And she gets mad because the cop did that, and then grounds for legal action. And this is the government that everybody listening to me, you created this monster. And let me get one thing in before I don't get a chance. You all are paying for it. And you don't care because it hasn't happened to you. Yep. But let me tell you, any one of you that's got children and you got another parent in the house, if there's a time bomb waiting for you, you better be nice to that other parent, because if any point in the future you PO them, yep. And they decide to leave you and they happen to get a better lawyer than you can afford, yep. Then it might not be you now, but it will be you then, and you'll be in the system. And why does the system exist? Why do they got to, if they didn't keep feeding the system with children, well, there wouldn't be a system, would there? And then that would be a little bit less work. That'd be a little bit less work that cop needed to be paid for with your tax dollars, and that judge and the 4 or 5 attorneys that are involved and all of the expert witnesses. How many days worth of trial did she say? They got, what I heard, at least 6 days of trial.
Yeah, 4 and 2, 6 days, right? Yeah.
And that's just the trial. The trial is tiny compared to everything that happens before and after that trial. And the adoption people or the foster people, they get a check every month for $400, $600 per kid.
Yeah, why wouldn't this woman who has control over her kids right now want to continue having control over them? She has 6 kids that she got from this system, and they're each a check to her.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's how she makes a living. She is making a living off of child trafficking. And you, listener, you're paying the bill. If you got a job, your taxes are paying the bill.
Yeah, that's the best. I usually when they say child trafficking or sex trafficking or anything of that nature, I roll my eyes. But that is the word that you chose to use to describe what happened here. That's child trafficking.
Yeah, that is a very precise and accurate statement, David. Thank you for the call. We appreciate it. It's okay when the government does it, but when you do it, it's a crime.
Exactly.
Just file this under the long list of things that occur in that fashion. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live is on the way.
Hey, you are going to love the movie Victimless Crime Spree. It's hilarious, heartwarming, and carries a ton of inspiring freedom messages. Feeling down about the lack of liberty in your life? You need to put on this film with some friends and have a good laugh. It's a true story about me and my friends in New Hampshire living free, singing, dancing, and getting arrested. Of course, it's all on video, and the bad guys, the cops, judges, bailiffs, and sheriffs, they all play their part like it's out of a movie or something. You would think we scripted the whole thing, but it's real life. Go ahead and have a watch, and if it's been a while, have another look. I guarantee you'll notice things now that you didn't notice before. And the best part is that you're going to walk away feeling a renewed sense of your own power. You are the master of your destiny, and you will be free in your lifetime. Victimless Crime Spree. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to Free Talk Live, the live call-in talk radio program where you can take control of the airwaves and talk about whatever is on your mind. You probably won't get in this evening, but write this down for future reference. 603-283-6160. We had a period of time of about a week or so where our phones were down. No thanks to the terrorists calling themselves the government who attacked our studio, the Bitcoin embassy, up to 19 other locations, and arrested 6 folks. You can help donate to the Legal Defense Fund for the Crypto 6 over at thecrypto6.com. Please consider donating to that cause. These folks need real legal defense. I also want to take this moment to say thank you to Chris R. He is a silver level amplifier, and that means he contributes some money every month toward getting this radio program that you're listening to right now onto more radio stations. We're currently on about 187 radio stations. We could be on 200. We could be on 250. We could be on 300. It's all up to you. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. Every dollar that you contribute does go specifically to getting this radio station on more, or this radio program on more radio stations. So you can be confident that your money is going to that particular purpose. Thank you again to Chris R. for being a silver level amplifier. There's some little perks and things. You get access to the AMP only feeds and that type of thing if you are an amplifier. So please check out amp.freetalklive.com. Thank you again, Chris R. You are appreciated. We had been trying to talk in the first hour about this article from Oakland where it sounds like they're trying to set up some sort of trial period that may end up becoming some sort of government-sponsored UBI, and we can talk more about that. But did you guys have any, other thoughts, things you wanted to talk about? Boo?
Yeah, boo to the UBI.
Boo to the UBI. Or boo-bye, B-U-B-I, right? How would you pronounce it? Put a B in front of it?
I don't know. All I know is I am all for charity, but I don't think that charity, I don't think theft is, the theft that occurs with government in order to, quote, be charitable is really, that's not real charity. That's theft. and it should be called out.
If lining a bunch of bureaucrats' pockets for, office jobs that they do is charity, then I guess that's charity.
Well, this article
That's
says
like redefining charity.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
This article goes on to say the San Francisco Chronicle reports that the initiative in Oakland comes in the wake of Stockton's program, which provides $500 every month to 125 people, launched by former Mayor Michael Tubbs, who will also be at the news conference. Stockton led one of the first universal basic income programs in the U.S. Tubbs lost his reelection in 2020. So this sounds like monkey see, monkey do. We saw this with the mask mandates, right? At first, just like one state was like, okay, I'm going to issue an executive order, whatever mayor, I don't remember who it was, governor or whatever, what state. I'm going to issue an executive order, and I'm going to make masks mandatory for the entire state. And then some other governor saw how much publicity this governor was getting and went, I want that publicity too.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to issue a mask mandate.
These are control freaks. They seek power, and they know that they want when you're in a crisis, people tend to support you.
Yes.
So they're basically thinking about their next election run is what's going on here.
Well, and we're also in what I like to call a closing government. In other words, the empire is on its way out.
I hope so.
And because of that, we're going to see all sorts of things. I've been predicting that the lockdowns and the overreactions to the COVID bit with the mandates and all that thing were a precursor to things like getting folks addicted to government dependency. A government-sponsored UBI is exactly that.
I mean, I feel like we've already been in the situation for what was it, 50, 70, no, like 70 years? Is it? When did Social Security come around? I mean, that was the 30s, was it?
I believe so.
So, I mean, we're looking at
90 years.
90 years. I mean, we've been in this socialist cesspool, and the money is just, it doesn't, I mean, we are so poor today. And I know, I'm not saying, we're not living better than a lot of other countries, but we should be way wealthier than we are.
Individually,
everybody,
yes.
Every single person in the United States should be way better off.
Right. And the problem is that the government, through the Federal Reserve, is siphoning that wealth off of us. They are a leech on the face of society. They are bloodsuckers. They are
slaveholders.
They are milking you for your life's effort in the form of taxation. Over and over again, you are a piece of cattle on a tax farm. And that's one of the revelations that libertarians and anarchists and freedom-loving folks have already had, one that not a lot of people have given any thought to.
And I would like to say that that's thanks to the public school system. A lot of people who know what Social Security is will just think, well, yeah, because when I'm old and I'm dying, I want to be able to have money to take care of myself when I can't work. But they don't. They just aren't looking at it at the right way because public school has conditioned them to look at it like there's no other way for them to have money when they're old.
Ever notice how they teach this kind of stuff in a social history class, not in like an economics class,
right?
Because they don't want you to know how Social Security works. Social Security is literally just theft, and they might give you a little bit back of it, at the end of your life. But where is that coming from? That's coming from somebody else. It's not coming from what you paid in earlier.
You're so right. They give it to you. They tell you in school about stuff like that as if it's just a given. The government gave us this because it's helping us, instead of explaining how it works. Because honestly, I never had a class where they explained where any type of economics worked. But I can definitely say that I remember hearing about FDR and stuff like that. He came up with this New Deal and all this stuff.
I didn't even have an economics class until I hit college, to be honest. I don't even think there was one available in high school.
The closest thing that I had in high school was something called home economics.
That's hilarious.
And I think that's why the majority of people like my age who are leftist type leaning, or even not political, but they just have this little grasp on what's going on around them. They just believe that Republicans or whatever, I'm not a Republican, the show's not Republican, but this is their general idea. People on the right don't want me to have money at the end of my life for Social Security because they think I need to work harder. I'm working as hard as I can, and I don't have enough money. What's really happening is you don't have enough money because you're being stolen from, and the government is trying to dupe you into working harder and just
and it's right there on your frickin' pay stub.
Let me tell you something. It's not on your pay stub. That's only a part of it.
You're right.
I have a business, and if you look at what the amount of money that goes to the government from our business checking account to cover the taxes, basically the money that's being stolen from you, it's basically, if you didn't get that, if that wasn't happening, your income, your paycheck would literally double.
Yes,
it's double. That doesn't include all the money they're stealing from you, mind you, but your paycheck would double.
Well, it includes some of the money they're stealing from
Absolutely,
you. Absolutely,
some of it.
Taxation.
But there's a lot.
There's also sales tax on things. There's
property
inflation,
taxes,
property tax.
which ends up going, if you're a renter, you're basically paying your property taxes through your landlord.
Paying to register your car.
Yep.
Paying for your driver's license.
Yeah.
Tariffs, 25% tariffs now.
The inheritance tax. So money that was taxed and saved by somebody who worked for it and saved it and then dies and leaves it to you, you don't get that money until the government gets their cut.
Monopoly on services.
There's a death tax
in New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, they have a monopoly on alcohol. They have state-run liquor stores.
Yep.
In the lottery, they have a monopoly on lotteries. So yeah, I mean that's like every state, I think, just about probably. And that money, I mean, you would think that with all the taxes, you wouldn't need to have a monopoly on lotteries.
So if there was no taxes, just take that as a given. There's no taxes. You would work just the same amount you're working now. You'd be getting so much more money that you would be able to plan for your retirement.
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody would be rich in America
and make your own choices for what companies. Right. As it is, even if you have an employer, that at best they give you a couple of choices to contribute to a voluntary retirement plan. You would make all of your choices by yourself.
And if you lost your limbs in an accident, then all your friends would be able to have extra money to help take care of you, and there'd be charities for
and
that.
There's still something called insurance too. You would actually be able to afford your own insurance.
We are out of time. We're on 7 nights a week at freetalklive.com. Thanks. Peace.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of